Scott Tranter is out there, and he will answer Michael Meehan's question of what kind of margin could Kamala Harris walk out of Philadelphia County with? What's the word?
Ooh. My best guess in Philadelphia County margin right now, probably 4, maybe 5. We'll see where it ends up. It's a little bit early. Pennsylvania, in the completed counties that we do have, which is mostly out west, Donald Trump is hitting his vote goals. I got to see a whole lot more out of Philadelphia County, Delco, Lancaster, Montgomery. Pennsylvania is too close.
Now, I'm observing in the raw vote about a 3-point shift from 2016 to 2020. Now, as Michael Meehan was talking about, there's tons and tons and tons, and as you are reinforcing, and we should continue to reinforce, there's tons and tons of vote out in mostly Democratic places in Pennsylvania. But in the votes that we do have, I'm seeing a consistent 3-point shift in Pennsylvania. Is that reasonable or unreasonable?
That's exactly reasonable, and you did the math for me. That's what we're seeing as well. Look, and as you pointed out, we just don't have good insight into what that turnout is in that urban area. In Georgia tonight, we've seen increased turnout, probably higher than 2020 levels. North Carolina looks probably not as high as 2020, but certainly high. I don't have an opinion yet on Pennsylvania. If it is super high, that's why Harris still has a shot.
If I'm reading it correctly, both bases are turning out, right? That it wasn't which sides low propensity voters were going to turn out. It wasn't which sides unlikely voters were going to turn out. Both sides unlikely voters seem to have turned out. Is that about the size of it?
That is also correct. I mean, look, right before polls closed, we were looking at about 155 to 160 million total turnout nationwide. We may revise that up even a little bit higher as we start getting some votes in Arizona and Nevada.
Okay, so when we think about a time that we're going to know in Georgia, you upset many Democrats tonight with when you guys dropped the call on North Carolina, but it aligns with everything that I see. I have confidence in your call. But is what makes Georgia more difficult to call just the fact that 60% or so of the votes are going to be in Atlanta Metro, and that's slower counting? Does that explain why North Carolina could come in before Georgia?
That is exactly right. You hit it. And I'd point out, look, we've called Virginia for Harris too, because Donald Trump is just not hitting his vote goals out in the rural counties, and we're seeing quite a bit of votes left in some of the Democratic-leaning areas. Look, the data is the data. We call it when we see it, and that's where North Carolina ended up.
Scott, you know, my favorite thing about this interview is that every question that I've asked you, you've told me that I am exactly right. And this makes you, by far, my favorite guest of the evening. Okay, so help viewers out. We've talked about, we see how things are shaping up in Pennsylvania. It's cooking up. It's going to be close, right? So far, everything tells us Pennsylvania's going to be close. What's the next thing that you're already thinking about? Because I know where you are. I've been where you are. What's the next state that we should be? What are the questions I should be cooking up for you after Pennsylvania? Is it Wisconsin? Is it Michigan? Where should we be looking after Pennsylvania?
Wisconsin and Michigan for sure. Pennsylvania, it's a little bit early, so ask me again in 20 or 30 minutes. But Pennsylvania right now is projecting to be so close, we might not be able to call it tonight. Again, early. That opinion could change in the next 20 or 30 minutes.
Hey, thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your screen. And don't forget, click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.